Okay, so one more tutorial about drawing extreme perspective. So here we have some curvilinear, like a three vanishing point kind of curvilinear. No, I don't like use this name like three vanishing point, all the stuff. More important, it's like a curvilinear perspective grid here and bird's eye view. Show you. Okay, so we have obviously vanishing point here. It's somewhere here. And like we can see, like first, it's very obviously with this building give us idea of vanishing point. So we can watch convergence to here, also this neighbor building. Then we can, so I will use this building as a like example for one of axis for my perspective grid. So I can say this parallel lines here, and also this one, it's like parallel to this building. So we can see curvature. You can see curvature of these lines. Then this one. So then I can say, okay, which building is parallel to this building? So this one, and this one, seems they're all parallel to this building. So they're also fit to be example for perspective grid. So for same axis, and opposite for second axis. So I will show you. So here's vanishing point. Let's say maybe here. So this Z is like vanishing point for Z axis, and here all lines go into this Z vanishing point. It's a straight lines. They are not curve. They're straight. This axis, which is stands for depth. So because it's 3 dimensions, 2 dimensions like h and width. So like left, right, up, down. And the third dimension, it's a depth. So here, this the vanishing point is for depth, so you can see like closer and farther. Then let's see other axis. So dun, dun, dun. Something like this. So this axis of like going through vanishing point, like there's exit, and this will be like 4, say 4x. Ah, it's Christ. No, this is actually this is y because it's h and a drawing, right? So this like lines going to vanishing point. It's like y axis because they represent h. But in the current situation, because it's like this down shot, it's a bird's view. It's also like in current situation, it's represent depths. Right? So, but in the coordinates, it stands for y because it's h. Then we have x and we have z. So this one x, so when it's going through vanishing point, it's a straight. But then we have this kind of situation, like in a 5 vanishing point. What is in a 5 vanishing point situation? Well, it's like this. X axis, y axis. So when we have this vanishing points and this vanishing points, in 5-point perspective, x, like this x-axis will be straight when it intersects with y-axis, and when it go farther from this intersection, it starts to curve, like it start more and more curve until it gets this like half circle curvature. So we have this kind of two sides of it, like on one it's completely straight, on the other side it's half circle, it's round, like completely round, and then between them we have this like transition, so here we can understand and knowing this principle, we can see how it works here. So it's like this x-axis going through vanishing point, through this vanishing point intersection with the y-axis. It's just straight line, but when it go farther from it start to curve, and farther from vanishing point, stronger curvature will be. So how I usually do when I build a perspective grid, I will check this center side and the side here, so I will know extent like level of curvature. So I look here on a building and I look this like a, what's this, like a scaffolding something. So can say what level curvature here. Also, I make this like a line here, which is like perpendicular to x. So this going through vanishing point, it's x. This going through vanishing point and have like 90-degree angle, right? So this will be z here. So like here intersects y with x. Here y, it's all these lines that converge to vanishing point. Z, it's axis which is perpendicular to x, because again it's like if we have a box, so for example, because all this is according to box logic principle. So in a box, this will be y, this will be x, and this edge will be z. So we can say that z is perpendicular to x. So yeah, and kind of y perpendicular to all of them. So this we kind of know in this principle. We can see how it works on a picture, because again, it's not like I created, it's also here on a reference. We just can see how it works. So first, let me finish with this x. So now when I have this kind of things, right, I can just project to other side, and I do it all by eyeballing. Like, I don't need to be like super precise with that. Because like for me, my purpose, my goal, it's to have kind of this perspective approach, which will be like fluent and precise enough for me to draw some illustration in comic books. Okay, so now here is the x curvature, so all this x, 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 and now we can do z. Same with z. We can see on these buildings, it's what is extent of curvature. It's kind of similar. So again, it's like 5 vanishing point perspective. So this is like x here, this opposite one. So but in here okay, kind of something like this. So this our picture plane, and that's why perspective grid, it's perfect for this kind of thing when we cannot see vanishing points. So we cannot see vanishing points, we can see only one, or sometimes like if it's isometric perspective. So in isometric perspective, all it's like no vanishing points at all. So we have only axes. We have y, z, and x axis. So again, that's why I don't like to when people like talking about like how many vanishing point perspectives is. It's more important axis and kind of, let's say, like planes which is belong to axis. It's not about vanishing points. Vanishing points is only one kind of one detail in the perspective. It's just like help to organize axis, to make sure they're like structuralized correctly, kind of. Так. So next, so I have perspective grid, so now I know how to make all this conversion, and then I do sketch of a composition. So I will so later I can make my line art more confidently. So here, this building with scaffolding, it's first plan, it's the closest. So when we draw some complex landscape like this, we need to make sure we know which lines belong to axis and which lines are like a little like tilted. They're not parallel to perspective grid. And no, this also kind of skill. More you draw, faster you will notice all the small details. You can say like, okay, this one is like definitely in a like rotated. It is not parallel. Now, like when make composition, so it's also interesting moment here. Every part of drawing is it's essential. So I can say like composition is only important because it's a huge deal. And I also can say perspective is very important because without perspective, you cannot make it properly. But actually, they all very important. They're like support each other. And the advanced approach to perspective is to use perspective for composition. I mean, it's like because perspective is part of perspective sync. It's like essential kind of foundation in perspective. It's like organizing according to some kind of model, kind of some principle, general rule. So you make for particular picture, you make some general rule, and you organize everything according to this rule. It's many kind of different way, different kind of it's like it might be like a way how you cut light and shadow, or how you make some kind of like a fractal um, composition of a main shape and a smaller shape, so they kind of repeat each other. So and to make organized shapes in a space, in a space not only 3D but space of picture, use like special kind of say like okay, if like this is picture. So it's have like in Loomis book about illustration. I forgot how he calls it, some kind of subdivision, something like it's kind of over the top little bit. It's like little nuts, I think. But also like depends for from people. Like some people like very kind of generic approach. Some people like be more intuitive. So an idea is like you can, for example, like you can divide picture like this by diagonals, and then you can like use these diagonal lines as like um, to place like characters. Let's say like somebody here, here's some stuff happen on this side, right? So then you break, like you make like this half here, and you break this one, and then you say like, okay, here I will place something. So we have this like hidden structure lines. So and this hidden structure lines, it can follow any crazy logic artist want to follow, you know. Like it's important, it must be some structure under composition. And in this case, perspective grids, they also follow this thing because it's underlying structure which organize lines and shapes in your picture, and you cannot ignore it. You cannot ignore it as composition element. And when more you work with this, more you like drawing landscapes, more you realize and realizing this fact of that perspective, all this like perspective axis, they also part of composition. So composition and perspectives, they're like unseparatable. Cannot make good drawing with wrong perspective. Like you cannot make good composition with wrong perspective, and you cannot make like good environment where you have good perspective, but composition is like, not well, not organized, kind of, you know, like not so true. It's just like mechanical perspective. It's boring. So instead of making just mechanical perspective, you're thinking about this fusion perspective with composition. Yes, you're making perspective, and simultaneously you think about perspective as a composition element. So it's like one moment about perspective. Second moment about perspective is, I call it kind of narrative thing, and this means you should to be aware of what are you showing in like a story wise, or like content wise. So it should be something people can look at. So something like a tree, house, road, people, and then you go more detail, like which kind of tree, which kind of house. Like here, what we have a woman, we have buildings, we have roads, and some ground without roads, like with the trees. Then we go, okay, building have different height, building have roofs, this like different patterns for windows, so it's like different designs, let's say, right? So and then we want to show exactly which kind of design each building have, which kind of construction for each building. So when you think like when you deliberately think about these things, and you like really want to show it, will be in your drawing. So you're not just copying some random stuff. You actually want to emphasize something. You want to emphasize content. Each content in your work, it's also being like processed by your analysis, so you know why this object is here and what is difference with this object and another object. So they have their place, they have their role in your picture. So this this is like a narrative aspect. It's not even like about story. It's like you don't talking about some event. You're just talking about like objective reality of your picture. It's like what is happening just by kind of and also while I draw in this composition, I start to better see details here, so better understand. So don't rush to draw final drawing when you are not really understand what is happening here. Because now I see this kind of cool intersection, like we have this road here and we have this road here. Before I didn't see it. So often, like when I draw landscapes, I spend a lot of time to understanding picture, or like if I draw outdoors, to understand like all these elements of environment. So like usually people confuse this. They think like I can see a lot of details, but this kind of seeing is not about your eyes. It's about processing what you look at. And this kind of we can call artist vision is how you process a visual information. So do you like how you analyze this, like how do you structuralize it, like logically? So do you make parallels between different elements? Do you define them? If you define something, it's different than when you like not define and you just copy stuff, because when you define, then you like automatically you like naturally you start to make decisions, you start to make preferences, you start to like say, okay, this, no, you start to prefer something over something else. You say, okay, this I don't need, like this element is repeat, so if do I want to repeat this element again and again? So like, okay, if I want to repeat this element again and again, I will repeat it, and I will like purposefully I will um, make it look like it's repeating like this, like in the music, you know, like dum 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 dum. So, and you spend some time to organize it so it will look cool, like rhythm, repetition. Or you can say like, well, I don't want to repeat this, and you change it so it's not exactly the same thing. It's like you start to like floating, and but you can do such operations when you verbalize, when you process kind of all these elements. Same like here, let's say like, okay, we have buildings and we have different roofs, right? Some roof like bigger, some are smaller, some roof like this rectangle, some roof like a square, some rectangle look this side, some rectangle look other side. So if I define for myself buildings as these elements, like sides and roofs, now I can play with these elements. If I not define it like this, then I will not have this opportunity to play with them this way. I will like conquer by reference, you know, like I will depend from reference too much because I don't really know. I will not have this control. Hope it makes sense. Just try to explain. It's like very complicated thing, very hard to explain this stuff. I learned this like, I don't know, like after 15 years maybe of drawing outdoors. Like, because every time you think like how to draw better, and then when you have lucky accidents and when you have some improvements, you try to understand how you made this interesting improvement, how exactly you achieve this result, and then you discover all these principles. Okay, so here is very important, also interesting here. So you see we have this building here, this kind of construction here, this scaffolding going here, and this part is like far view with the ground and the stuff on this ground. So here is a perspective grid is still very useful thing because it gives this feeling of a surface. It's very important, like for us, even like when we draw sky, which just might be like, you know, like endless space with some clouds, fluffy stuff in the sky. And even in the sky, it's cool, it's very useful to have perspective grid, so we'll have this feeling of convergence, feeling of diminishing space, kind of, right? So here, because we have this situation with like fish eye situation, so I want to make for myself this feeling of fish eye space on the ground. So this one, it's vertical lines, and this one is my ground lines here. So when I have this feeling, like it make easier for me, for my brain to draw stuff on it because like I immediately start to draw, kind of feeling like I draw around the surface. I kind of feel like I'm follow, like I draw stuff on the surface, like how it's like start to move in around this. See. Because this here will be some small elements which follow y-axis, and when we like little notice them or make some shadows following grid, it will make this volumetric feeling too. Just make some tones so we're not confused. And here. So here now I'm not only follow reference, I'm more now thinking like how it will make sense in my drawing here. So I can like adjust the shapes, yes, so they will better look on my drawing. So now we see this road from here. It's going here, going like this. It's going here. And this is what I mean. So to make sure it will be also logically like clear. So like it will be clear for viewer to see kind of content. Here's like elements of the situation, like what happened, where happened. I'm little like can do too much pencil lines. I don't mind because after it can be easily erased. And this is also like I give myself this freedom to make a lot of marks because I still kind of in the process of making composition. So I know I don't have like finishing idea yet. So I keep exploring. And so same like with every other element, I also look now in the figure and I think like how to better draw her. So it will be more clear. Maybe should look both hands like this. Okay. So now I use this soft eraser to make it lighter. So many artists, like in the comic books, illustrators, they use this approach, this kind of pipeline, exactly this way. So find some reference picture, maybe their own photo or some uh, open domain, it's like no copyright, and then you can change this reference to make it be some sci-fi. You can put some like flying cars here. You can draw different characters. So it's a lot of space for adjustments. And I made plenty of adjustments here. It's not like I just copy it. No, I change a lot. And in this situation, mostly just to make it more interesting for myself. Some parts more interesting, some parts more easy to draw. This always part of a process. Like personal artist style is not only about like it's not only about like some like story wise, narrative wise decisions. It's also about like some comfort decisions. So something like just more preferable to draw, something like less interesting. So we see many artists like who enjoy drawing cyberpunk, and when they draw nature, it looks very basic. It's just like schematic drawings of trees. When actually trees, all this stuff, it's a huge thing. It's so many trees you can kind of use for your composition. They're so different. They have all these interesting features. Can make your work much richer. But you need to have this kind of passion and interest for drawing trees, because you need to like kind of just study different kind of tree and all this stuff. Like me, I'm more interested in drawing like tree trunks than foliage, all these leaves. I kind of confusing with them. And so on the stage with inking, I also making adjustments, and also because there was no much details, I just elaborating further. And basically, like, I can draw like directly with ink without pencil. And it's possible to draw such view without pencil. It's only definitely will affect composition, because like if you have ideas for your composition, if your composition is complicated, it's like complex, you know, if it's complex composition, then without pencil you will lost it. It's for sure. Like, because without pencil you can draw something you already drew before, so it's like no surprises for you. It's just maybe like slightly different from previous drawing, but it's almost same, you know. So you have this memory, you have confidence, so you can draw it. If you draw first time, okay, you will make a lot of mistakes. It will be like everything will like fall in apart for a certain extent. So with pencil you just make sure like important things will be on their place. So like with this road, for example, right? If I don't make a pencil sketch here, I will just draw and it will lost consistency. This longitude kind of this road will be lost. It will be something like broken on the elements without connection. And maybe next time, if I will draw similar view and I will draw road like this, which will go like between buildings, appear and disappear between all this kind of stuff. I will able to draw it without pencil because I drew it here now. So now I have some experience. Anyway, point is it's not essential. Unless you use pencil or you not use pencil, it's kind of misunderstanding of all this process. Because like when Kim Jong-il draw without pencil, it's just maybe he don't want to spend time for pencil, but it's definitely process and result is different than if he will use pencil. It's not make you like better or worse artist. It's just change process, change outcome of your work. You can see like so many other professional artists who draw comic books and stuff, who use pencil very heavily. Oh, hello, Manish. Thank you. So in this artist, they use pencil very heavily, like Daniel Warren Johnson, Fred Moore. Like if you see Fred Moore composition, it's perfect example of why you need pencil because it's like it's so structuralized, so well organized. I can imagine how much time he spent to refine every small element to make this coherent like connection with all the stuff and like flows, all these things. So you look at different artists, you're like, okay, to achieve this kind of quality of work, you need to follow his process. To draw like Fred Moore, okay, need pencil. Draw like Daniel Warren Johnson, Yeah, he used pencil, so you also need to use pencil. This kind of approach. So people like who is not professional artist and they don't understand the in industry stuff, pass buyers, let's say, like for example, I often see this attitude like when I draw on the street, and people will think like I'm performing for them, you know. Like I wish to be invisible when I draw. Like I want to hide somewhere, like so I can draw and nobody will see me. But sometimes there is view location on the public, so I need to stay on the public and draw. It's kind of it's not like I want to sell my drawings or I want to promote my Instagram or stuff like that. No, just drawing things, you know. But some people they will think like I want to demonstrate my skill or stuff, something like that, you know. So it's kind of um, people understanding of artists, like their drawing is performance, so it should look impressive, you know, like when you don't use pencil, you just take some brush or pen and you draw perfect lines immediately. But for us, for artists, we should avoid this kind of thinking. It's just nonsense, kind of. Yeah, like first of all, we need the result. How I made it, even if I use like computer and I print and I uh, sketch over my printing, 3D model printing, who cares? Only all about result. Because like me, I will like I will watch like it's cool result or not. Like it's no competition with like uh, you use cheat kind of codes or you like 100% freehand artist. I not use any tools for direct drawing just because I cannot do it. I tried so many times. I was trying like perspective grids and what's called Procreate, Clip Studio, those 3D models. It's just so boring. It's killing all fun from drawing because for me like it's fun like when I can just sit and draw my picture with my hand, this kind of process. If I developing it in some software and after I just like make it, I don't know, it's just and maybe later I will change, but that works. Also like I've been like about 20, like 15 year like straight like full time I was drawing streets outdoors, travel and drawing different cities, all the stuff. And I did this because I just cannot draw from photo. I it's so fun to draw outdoors. And if I will like make a photo of landscape and go home to draw from photo, I just can't. It's just impossible. And only after 15 years, I learn how to draw from photo. So now I can draw very cool landscape from photo. Like I do a lot of photo, and sometimes I go home and it's like, okay, I can just sit, listen some music and radio, and draw this view. Sometimes it's like maybe you make photo when you in the car or in a train. Just it's impossible to sit there and draw because you just pass by this view from. You cannot stay on the road or stuff like this. So it's a lot of interesting view where I cannot be physically on this place. So finally, after these years, I learned how I can enjoy drawing from photos, so it's not killing my soul, like I'm not dying inside. And it's like another kind of example, so it's like nothing bad with drawing from photo, like artistically. It's no any problem with that. A lot of great masters, they made photos and use photo for their artwork. It's just like it's more I believe it's just more like a personal preference. It's just like you need to organize your process in a way you will enjoy it and you will get the result you want. It's just part without a pencil. Here again you can see it's how it's all about roofs and sides as like visual design, composition design. Oh, так. Also now I'm working on a book about drawing city, mostly about urban sketching. So I'll talk over there about perspective, about composition, just like sharing my system, how I draw landscapes outdoors. Because after 20 years of drawing outdoors, I have some techniques, some approach which is nobody discuss. Unique approach. So I think it will be cool to share it in a book. Trees. Yeah, also write me and send in a comment later. I read all comments, and like sometimes these comments when people say thank you and they say it's like useful for them. It's important for me because sometimes I'm very lazy to make new video, but when I see people interested, it really motivates a lot to make more. Also, any feedback would be really nice. Kind of interesting. It's like I agree with Rick Rubin, who say that artist he should don't care about audience, like for about viewer. He just created for himself. So and like only after he finish, when his artwork is done, he start to think about people how to present kind of work to viewers. So YouTube for me is totally different thing. My back video is not art for me. It's I don't know. It's like communication. It's just yeah, like it's kind of way to get some feedback and contact with other people. It's kind of way. It's like how can I find some like-minded people who thinking about similar stuff like I thinking, like want to interesting in perspective and illustrations and whatever. So we have like similar interest and we can have some exchange. So that's why for me like comments and everything it's important because like communication is a reason of this video. Like I'm making tutorials for people. I don't make them for myself. For myself, I will just draw. I need to make videos to draw stuff. So feel free to write anything. Так. So here all these vehicles is also like design elements, so I put this kind of here and there to create some kind of rhythms and movement, because you follow kind of this movement. So it's some like urban river with the traffic. It's like when I was first time in Moscow, I was like first time see a central road in a city. Like, oh, I was first time actually see a road which is never stop. It's never calm. It's car moving constantly, like flow of cars. Is I was just standing there and watching for 30 minutes. It's like watching river, because like constant flow of cars. It's crazy. So for me, it's like exactly the same like a river. In the river, like if you watch like a mountain river, it's so amazing. It's so mesmerizing. You just like meditation. You just watching it and forget about everything. It's like massage for your brain to watch all this. Um, let's say currents, all this currents, how they kind of how they connected, how they related. So for me, like kind of perfect composition is something like this mountain river. It's very busy. It's like sometimes it's splashing, sometimes it's like moving around, sometimes like just move like this. So it's kind of chaotic for a certain extent, and at the same time it's like super harmonized. It looks so um, it's like look very like perfectly structuralized. It's like this kind of like a waves also, like if you watch like waves on embankment somewhere. Like my favorite also when I was in Hong Kong. Just go somewhere to embankment and watch these ripples and waves, and you can see this harmony of chaos. It's like this kind of meditation for my brain. It's like watching it and trying to find some pattern, trying to see some structure in all this, like seemingly like totally random forms, totally random waves. But your brain, he can he notice all this is like interconnected, how they react each other, how they like bouncing from each other. You can see some like bigger and bigger patterns. You can watch some like particular details, like when like one wave hit other wave, or when it's some kind of rock and start to like moving around this rock. And you can look like more general patterns, like how all these like small ripples, they have this kind of one shape and symmetry kind of. And you see how this like different patterns interact with each other, how they like start to hit into each other. So it's like really, really crazy cool. And you cannot see, let's say, you cannot see where is or where is finish, where is like final structure there. No, it's just like unlimited. This kind of beauty of it. You cannot like decode it completely. You can only like create your own versions of it. And same thing happen with landscapes. You try to organize it, you put in it in a certain models which will like organize this environment you're witnessing. But all these models, they're made up by you. They're based on reality, but they're made up. So it's kind of important thing to understand, because then you know you can work on your process. You can work on your vision by improving your way of analyzing and kind of breaking down visual material or whatever, any kind of information actually. So this I will also cover in my book. We'll talk about this, like I have some theory about how to break down environments, how to process information, how to uh, what kind of, express yourself. Because like at certain moment you start to see how you are unite with everything around. So it's like kind of, this border between outer world and inner world, how much is also concept which we are defining. Because I mean, like, it's kind of common knowledge. It's like we are see things which is like reflect us, right? So is what we see is who we are, kind of like we are reflecting ourselves on a world outside. So when you kind of explore something, observing something, some part of it or whole part, I don't know, is kind of big discussions there. part of this process, part of this information you see, it's actually yourself. Like it's all the stuff what is happening in your head, happen in your body. Something like happen with you and you're just like projecting it outside. And this how you connect it to world outside, because by your own projection on it. This projection made you like be related and emotionally and somehow connected to this environment, to situation. So I believe kind of artist he should to be aware of this thing somehow, at least kind of um, keep this ideas in mind that he draw stuff. It's also he express and explore who he is. So kind of just like we use um, this kind of opportunity to understand ourselves, to express ourselves. Maybe like to complete ourselves by again this making this connection with ourselves and the world. It somehow also mean like to be complete, right? Because you're like dissolving this limit, you dissolving this um, distinction, kind of you're more connected to yourself when you see how you're connecting to world outside, how you connected to other people and stuff like that. So sounds little new age, but I think that's why new age appealing to people, because no, it's based on some reality kind of, and it's not made by them, of course. It's all old discussion about this stuff. Do you know much people on the stream? I wonder what time is it? Maybe it's like a night time. Okay, we'll know. Also, you can write me in a comment what time you usually watch YouTube. It's kind of some data for me, so I will consider. Take. Okay, here I want to make sure this will be okay with this. So be neck, head. Sometimes I also make live stream. I don't want much people be online because it made me nervous. But I just like need more practice. This will be easier. It's just a perfect format for me because I don't need to make video editing. I just make video directly. It's perfect. No need to spend time for editing. Like you see other my tutorials on YouTube when it's editing made, it's really take all day for editing video. At least one day, you know, sometimes more than one day. It's just so waste of time. Like I want to draw, I don't want to sit on these programs. So just think what to do with her hand here. What's she holding? Here is. Stop first. What's she holding in her hand? Okay, так, I have idea. Some classical motif. Так. And tell her, God, don't cling to this scaffolding. But she don't listen. It's like, I want climbing high to eat my apple. To see sunset and listen Lana Del Rey. Eat apple and watching the sunset. You're so art deco. So art deco. And so here just finishing with some details, make it a little more busy. So this like gray shapes, black shapes. They all also like composition elements. So every mark, it's part of composition. So sometimes you it's kind of hard to say like it's constantly decision between realism and design. Sometimes they're like match. Sometimes you make decision towards realism or towards composition. So what is preferable? So we can see it's like different artists how they do. Some artists they make like much less realism, more abstract kind of composition. So we can see all this like symbols instead of actual things. So like instead of grass, it's like some triangles or some technical patterns. Instead of people eyes, it's a dots, for example, you know. So it's not because artists cannot draw eyes. It's because it's composition. It's a decision which it's like he say he sacrificed some realism for composition, for design reasons. So I personally I really like to watch these artists, especially like comic books. I like comic books when it's much more symbolic and like stylized art. When this like realistic comic books, when people is like artists control people, artists control all these realistic things, it feels like less atmospheric. It's much more fun to watch stylized comic book, something like Romita Jr. He's like a Punisher, for example. He draws this Punisher. Forget exact name. How it's called, like Endgame or something like this. Like his style is like very simplified, very stylized, symbolized, and it's really a good match for comic book in my taste, at least. So you really like uh, emerge into story, into comic book atmosphere. So it's not look like um, grayscale photograph, like simplified filtered photographs, you know. No, it's look more like its own reality, where everything like little different than in the real world, and it's like make you emerge inside. So same kind of here. Sometimes we put a shadow because on some place because it's better for design, not because it's will be correct to make these shadows there. Same like watch it's Akira, for example, animation and Akira also manga when they make color version in America. There we can see a lot of colors, which is not realistic, but they're like um, very good for atmosphere and for storytelling. So this is what I mean. Realism is just element. It's only one element of work. Realism is, like I say, it refers only for this element, which is like about objective reality. It's like this, for example, like what if I show something, I want it to be realistic enough so people can read it, people can understand what is it. So this is doesn't look like car at all. It's just some bubbles and sausage. But because our brain kind of make it feel like it's a freeway here, and we start to perceive them like a moving cars on a road. So our artists, they use realism as a tool, not um, but they don't serve for it. They use it, not serve to it. We're not slavers to reference. We don't need to copy and follow reference. For us, reference is just a set of materials, of ideas. So here I have this like view, like what camera direction, let's say, right? Then I have a composition idea here in this photo. So like say, like somebody sit on a scaffolding, right? So it's like two things already, like camera direction, composition. Then I have on this reference, on this photo, I have all these elements like which I can use to put in my drawing. It's these things like buildings, roads here, cars on the roads, trees, then buildings. Each building have its own design. So I can say, okay, I can draw exactly a design like here, or I can see what kind of design this building have, and I can use similar design in my drawing. And so then I study which is different, what is different designs for different building, and then I choose which one I want to apply for my drawing. That's it. So you should be very conscious and picky for all this stuff, because you make your work, no matter like even if you want to follow very close reference, like if you're like in a art college when drawing model, like so you want to make it very realistic, all the stuff. Still, when it's tasked to make it very realistic representation of model, result is your own work. So you need all the time you think about your work, and the process is always every time it's the same. It's like with words, right? Like you cannot quote somebody words, say it, and don't take responsibility for these words, because it's not your words. If you say something, this is what you say. So even if you quote somebody, same here, like you can use some kind of reference, you can watch something outdoors, whatever. It's all is just suggestion and source of material. What you will show on your picture, it's always it's your decisions, it's your work. Okay, so we'll finish kind of here for today. Let me know anything, suggestions, ideas, feedback. See you next.